everybody, and welcome. You get to hear from me again, I'm sorry. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have some new faces in the room, and after the holidays, let's go ahead and do a roundtable introduction really quick. I'm Holly Reeder. I'm the general manager at the Aspen Suites Hotel here. I'm also the vice president of the Chamber Board. Who wants to start? Maybe over here this time?
Tanya Kulatale, interim special projects manager for Visit Sitka and the Sitka Chamber, and as of last night, taking over as general manager for the Westmont Hotel.
Wow.
So.
Nice. Good for you.
I'm Victoria Steeple. I'm the communications specialist for the Chamber and its
Keith Brady, owner, associate broker of Baranoff Keller Williams Realty, Alaska Group.
Sarah Allison, branch manager, commercial lender for First Bank here in Sitka.
I'm Gary White, Sitka Economic Development Association.
Jen Pearson, I'm working with Keith at Baranoff.
Fran Schuho, School Job Center. Vernon Peterson, Sitka Pregnancy Center.
Paul Crabb, U.S. Sitka Campus Director and Chamber Board President.
Lauren Olson, lending branch manager at North Main Bank and board member.
Noel Rogers, port manager for cruise line agencies.
Yes. Don't want you to feel left out over here.
Garland Kennedy, Sitka Sentinel. Robert Woolsey, KCAW. Dan, your turn. You got to say your name on the spot.
I'm to introduce myself?
Yeah.
Oh, how
man who needs no
how sad
introduction.
the story. TV Dan.
Thanks, guys. It doesn't look like we have any elected officials in the room. So, a couple of announcements. Chamber is currently accepting submissions for the Share Your Spark Holiday Light Up Map. So if you have your house lit up, your business lit up, something with a string of lights on it, please submit that into the chamber. They'll get you put on the map so anybody who goes on those little drives around town looking for Christmas lights knows where to go. You also do get put in for drawings. Let's see, what do we have? This year's prizes are select wines from Odom Corp, a framed print from Fait Accompli, $75 gift card from C-Mart, and a 5-piece bath and body set from Aspen Suites. We'll have that drawing on December 20th at noon. Yes. We also invite chamber members. It looks like we have a business after hours event next week at First Bank. Thank you, First Bank. That will be Tuesday, December 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. They'll have appetizers from the fresh fish, beverages, and opportunity to participate and give away for a silver basin gift of some sort. Gift basket. I just came off vacation, so I'm sorry. Next week we also have our Sitka's Emerging Leaders holiday party, December 14th from 5 to 7. Details to come. Keep an eye out for those e-blasts that the chamber sends out, the Facebook page, that kind of stuff. If you know of anybody in your business in the ages of 21 to 40, encourage them to come to these meetups. They're pretty awesome, and we have a really great core group of people. Next on, this is what we're actually here for, not listening to me. Today we're going to hear from Keith Brady. He is the owner and associate broker in charge of Baranoff Keller Williams Realty Alaska Group. That's a lot. We also have Skyleen Batani. Got it, nailed it. She is the new mortgage loan officer at First Bank here in Sitka. For those of us on Zoom, please feel free to type in your questions to that Q&A, and we will get to those as soon as we see them. So now we get to hear from our speakers.
Well, that's you guys.
So if we can just start with, let us know like who you are and what you do. This will be kind of a Q&A, so if you guys have questions, please raise your hand. Feel free to jump in with these guys.
I guess I can start again.
Okay.
Keith Brady with Baranoff Keller Williams Realty Alaska Group. Yes, it is long. But we're Baranoff Realty, and we help facilitate buyers and sellers of mostly residential, and we also do property management.
Skylene Batani, First Bank. I've been with First Bank for about roughly almost 10 years. Started out as consumer commercial, and then I moved over to mortgage, learned something new. And I've been in Ketchikan, doing Ketchikan, POW, a little bit of Sitka market. I also fill in for Wrangell and Petersburg market, but I'm available to do anything in Southeast.
So I guess I'll start. This one can be either of you, maybe both of you could touch on this. For someone looking to purchase a home for the first time, where should they start?
Where should they start?
All right. So my, I guess, opinion on this, on where they should start, is they hopefully they need to know what they want out of a home, right? So they know what they're looking for, and then really the second thing would be going to a lender to get a pre-qualification letter, so they know how much they qualify for, and so they can hopefully merge the two of what they want and what they can afford together, so they'd be coming to you to hopefully get that pre-qualification letter.
I completely agree. I think they should first come see me and see what they can afford. And if it's not yet, we'll set them up for a roadmap to success. So if it's not today, maybe 6 months, maybe a year, but we can set them up to what they are and what their options are. So there's hope. That's the biggest thing for my job, is I want to spread hope for buying a home, get them the supplies and knowledge what they need, the importance of having a realtor to help find where they need to be next.
Okay, this one's more for Keith. Can you talk a little bit about what a buyer versus seller's market is and where Sitka right now is on that spectrum?
All right, we'll see if I can explain that well. So a seller's market means that when you're selling a home, it's more advantageous to the seller. For the buyer's market, it's more advantageous for the buyer. So in our type of, usually in Sitka, it's been more of a seller's market because the demand is high, supply is low. When supply is high, demand is low, it's more of a buyer's market. And unfortunately in Sitka, just because of the lack of real estate, it seems to always be more or less a seller's market here, regardless. So I answered your first question. What was the second one?
It's where does Sitka
Where did we sit? So yeah,
fall?
basically we sit on the seller's market side most of the time because demand is high, supply is low.
This one is for Skylene. What are the current mortgage rates right now? What are those looking like? And maybe trends that we're seeing?
I've seen them come down last week, coming down a little bit, but for the market, for the rates, it really depends. So if you're a first home limited, that's income based, I've seen those around 6.5 for Alaska housing, and it's going up. For first home, that's not income, I've seen it bounce around to 6.875. It really depends. First home, my home, Alaska housing has been by far, I've seen a great resource for first home buyers and for our area. They have a lot of good resources for energy rate reductions based on your energy rating of your home, or and within the first year of home buying, we could look at rate reductions. There's a lot of perks with Alaska housing.
And this is why I think it's really important for those looking for a home to go to a lender, because there's a lot of programs out there where you might not qualify for one, but you do for another, and then like she said, you can put them on a path to home ownership, saying, okay, well, you might not qualify for this now, but you can in 6 months if you do these things. And it's really important, because sometimes when they come to us, they ask us what are our first steps, and one of them is just really get a pre-qualification letter. It's important so they know where they sit with the bank on how much they can afford and what programs are there.
Yeah, and getting to know like what is their goal, what do they want, single family, a duplex for rental income and supporting the housing there's a lot of scenarios that goes in with it.
Yeah.
And are we seeing just an increase in rates? Like, is there any plateau on the horizon, or are we just going to see things keep going up for a bit?
I wish I had that magic ball. I really do. It's an
We all
everyday
do.
question. Right now, I mean, it's come down a little bit this past week. I don't know how much longer it'll keep going before it go back up, but you read the changes. Every story is different what they expect it to be, but I hope it'll come down here in the next year or so.
So how frequent are those changes in rates?
Alaska Housing's daily. Freddie Mac had put up minutes, every 15 minutes roughly. So when
They don't fluctuate that much though, but I've seen them
Yeah.
like at least come down in the last probably week, probably like a quarter of a point.
Yeah.
But they do fluctuate quite a bit, especially recently.
Mhm.
It's been crazy.
When somebody receives a pre-qualification letter, how long is that generally valid for?
Well, I like to do them for 90 days.
That's good, 'cause that's what I was going to say.
Yeah, for 90 days for pre-approval. If you just want a pre-qualification before I run your credit, it's 30 days. I like to have your credit pulled just so we have a full understanding of where you're at. It's strong for your offers with your realtors. Usually they want to see a pre-approval versus a pre-qualification.
Yeah. And so, like, I guess on our side, continuing off of that, if we have somebody who wants to make an offer, a pre-qualification, pre-approval letter it just makes the offer so much stronger. It makes the seller feel more comfortable accepting the offer, because then they know that you're ready and able to purchase their home versus waiting for a pre-qualification letter or pre-approval letter.
So with that in mind, you get your pre-qualification, it's good for so long. Right now, what are we seeing in terms of people in Sitka? Like, how long is it taking them to find a home and start the buying process?
That's a good question. It really depends on the client and how prepared they are. I have a client right now who I've been working with for a couple of months. Okay. They've been working with a lender for a couple of months. I think it's USDA and their pre-qualification. They've been working for that, but now that they have what they know they can afford through USDA, we're looking at homes in that range. And so it really depends. Some people, they're ready to go and they're ready to buy, and it doesn't take that long, and they know what they want. And so if there's a home on the market that fits all their criteria and they like it, it doesn't take that long. So it's hard to say, but it depends. I mean, it could be like a week to a couple of months.
How fast they're ready to really jump on a
It
property
is,
too.
yeah.
Then on the flip side, on average, how long is it taking somebody to sell a home here that's wanting to sell?
That depends too. So if the price is right and people can see value in the home, it's usually snatched up pretty quick. If the value of the price or of the home is high, that the seller is asking for, it sits on the market for quite a while. I've seen that, especially lately, because I think there's quite a few things that I think go into why homes are sitting. One of them is interest rates, but the other one is too, I think some of the values of the homes that are on the market right now are too high, and people are seeing that and they're like, I can't afford that. Not at that value with interest rates, it's unaffordable. Unless they have a ton of money to put down on a home, it just makes it unaffordable.
Or rental income if they have like some type of.
That's true. That's helpful.
Because we can count some type of rental income if there's a rental unit inside the property.
Yeah, which is really helpful.
Benefit.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. Do you know in round numbers about how many homes we have on the market right now? Here.
I'm just trying to think of what I've seen lately. I would say probably like between 5 and 10. I'm thinking like 7 really that are kind of on the market right now.
Better than it was.
It is true. I mean, we were down semi-recently down to like 3 homes on the market, but then there was a little bit of a pickup, and then some of those homes have actually been sold. But I think we're right now sitting, I think, at like 7. which isn't a lot.
No.
And some of those homes, like I said, I think the sellers are asking too much, but that's just my opinion.
Or the buyers can't afford.
Or the buyers can't afford it, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it goes both ways.
Do we normally see like a pickup in the springtime for more listings here?
Usually, yeah. Usually because of springtime, people feel a little more
Coast Guard transition
movement.
and-
Exactly, Coast Guard transitions are a big one. That there is usually a pickup in the spring. So right now, even going into the winter, it does slow down. Spring there is a pickup. Hopefully, interest rates will be lower then, and things will happen quicker.
Yeah, but that's a good hope, but people want to start looking and be ready before it starts booming with listings, is to go get your pre-approval letter and get ahead of the ball when something does pop up with
You're
the market.
ready to
like
jump.
You're ready to jump and be on it with a strong realtor to be on top of that.
Yes, yeah.
So a lot of housing transitions comes from word of mouth in Sitka. So Keith, I'm just curious if you have any like burning thoughts about how that affects availability of housing in Sitka in general.
And you're right, that's completely true. There's a lot of people who can sell their home by just putting it on Facebook, and they have like 16 people just jumping at it, be like, hey, I'm interested. So that does affect housing in Sitka. And so housing does move, but it also depends on price and what the buyer can afford. So for those doing for sell-by owners, I mean, that's great that they can do that. I know a lot of the realtors in town also facilitate for sell-by owners as well, just to make sure all the paperwork is down and people are comfortable buying a home from a seller who doesn't want to use a realtor. So I don't know if that really answered your question, but
Yeah, it was broad.
okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Question for both of you. So we've talked about like the cost of housing. I was wondering who you see buying homes in Sitka, like what kind of income level is required, and then also what type of person. So are these people buying their first homes, or are they buying their second, or is this their third home, or are these newer people to Sitka, are these long-term Sitkans? Who is buying homes here?
I'm seeing all over the market. I mean, a lot of first home buyers, but I see a lot of longtime residents and a lot of new for the hospital here locally. And they range from income limited programs that, stretch out to higher income, but I see it all over the board.
Yeah, I had the same thing. I couldn't answer better. It is all across the board.
Thanks.
So the chamber board has a task force that's trying to get people together to talk about workforce housing, which
For like summer housing, or is it different?
Seems to be housing in general.
housing in general.
Okay.
So, but more focused on the entry-level smaller, potentially smaller homes, more affordable homes. What 2 or 3 solid suggestions do both of you have for this task force on if you could wave a magic wand and make more workforce housing for purchase or rent? What would you do?
It's kind of funny. I was meeting with my team earlier today, and we talked about this a little bit. And it was suggested that one thing, we just need land opened up. Where that land is, I don't know right now. There's the Catlean Road. There's a road out to Green Lake, but there's also limitations to going both directions. Right? There are some parcels of land that I see every once in a while that people are kind of developing, but the one thing that was suggested is if there's enough land to put a trailer park in it, generally that's pretty good low-income housing or affordable housing. Could be another trailer park that you say you can't rent, only own. But that's a step in purchasing a larger home, is potentially owning your own, knowing how to maintain the home, pay your mortgage as you step up to another home. So that's one suggestion. But it's hard. I was talking even before pre-COVID, some of the problems that we have in Sitka is like the perfect storm of like no land, cost of materials are high, and it makes it really difficult to purchase or build here.
My note would be, I think like townhomes. I don't know if townhomes are more affordable for first home buyers to, personally that was my first home, was a townhome. It cut the cost of monthly buying something, and the Ketchikan market was super high, and my budget was small being a first home buyer, but it worked out ideally. I mean, 0 lot lines, having that space to call your home, to build equity. I don't know if someone would be willing to do that, but again, it comes down to land. Also, for business aspects, for building, I would say to check out Alaska Housing. They have really neat programs for 1 to 4 family dwellings. That would be great. I could get some pamphlets over to you if you're interested. But townhomes, I think, would be, for first home buyers,
Townhomes are a good idea too.
Would be excellent, because you look at condos, with interest rates, purchase price, then condo fees on top of that, you're putting them up to a cost of what it would be for a larger home, single family home.
Well, you kind of touched on COVID, pre-COVID, but how did COVID impact the housing market, and are we still seeing lingering effects from that, or are we coming off of it a little bit?
So, but pre-COVID was pretty good. And then when COVID hit, things dropped off, and then interest rates went really low, and then there was a lot of buying, selling, reappraising of your houses. You can get a refinance, and then interest rates went up. And so it's just been this weird roller coaster of like all over the place due to different factors that none of us can really control, which has been really hard.
Values were really high and interest rates were really low.
Right, and now still values are high and interest rates are high. And yeah, so it's been a weird roller coaster.
Does anybody else have questions?
I got one.
Oh, good.
Do you see any zoning code issues which is limiting development in town? Maybe that's not, you guys aren't the experts on it.
No, but so if we're going to develop, let's say, if we're going to grow the town and we're going to go out, let's say Catlean or down Green Lake Road, there's going to probably need some zoning changes that are going to allow for like septic and water catchment that we don't have in the middle of town because we're on those systems. Electric going Green Lake is easy. Electric going out Catlean is going to be horrendously expensive. So that's going to limit what you could do out there. So if land's going to be opened up, I don't know if the city actually has those on their books, but I would hope that they would look at them to say, if we're going to expand, we got to allow certain things that we're not allowing right now. That's, again, my opinion.
Agree with him. I'm sorry, I'm too new.
I think Lauren had a question.
Oh, I have thousands of questions. So, and again, I'm asking questions that I think will benefit the task force.
Okay, perfect.
The American dream has been the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, white picket fence, 8,000 square foot home. Is that
8,000?
8,000 square foot lot?
Okay, all right.
You dream big.
Sorry.
Big
Is that still is that realistic?
Well, at what price? I think a lot of the people that are looking for homes want that. They want the 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 8,000 to 12,000 square foot lot. But it depends on the price, and that's what's hard. Is lot prices are expensive, and then to build is expensive. To find a contractor even now, from what I've heard recently, is like you're a year and a half out before they'll even start building because they're so busy.
I kind of asked too because last week our presenter said that the average household 10 years ago used to be 3 people. Now it's 1.2 or something like that.
Okay.
So does that 1.2 person still need a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage, white picket fence?
Probably not.
Unless they work from home and want an office. That's a big boom right now. It's like working from home, having that office space, but think a 2 to 3 bedroom, 1 bath is substantial for a starter home.
Well, and so when I first moved to Sitka, I was told, get what you want plus 1 bedroom, because you're gonna have visitors that wanna come to Sitka and see where you're living. And so even with that 1.3, persons who are looking at a home, they're probably, gonna want their bedroom plus an office plus a spare. So maybe that 3 bedroom, 2 bath is still that dream, even for them.
So in terms of availability of everything, what does Sitka need more of the most? Is it more single family homes, more apartments, more of everything?
Because I do property management, I would say more of everything. Earlier this year, I probably had a list of people wanting to rent of like 40 people. Again, various from like 1 bedroom, 1 bath to 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Just looking for a place to rent, and most of the time I couldn't get it to them because I don't have it available for what I manage. Now it's a lot less. I probably have like 15 people looking, but when spring hits again, I'm sure it's going to jump back up to like 40, 45 that'll be looking for housing. But we do need a mixture of multifamily housing and single family housing to be built here. I have one person who's looking for 2 to 4 acres, and that's a lot of land here in Sitka, but they want to build 20 to 40 unit apartments here, and I can't find it. And it's unfortunate because it'd be nice if they could build something here, because we need it.
Maybe for Skylene, can you talk about the benefits of, but just related to Sitka, having like a mortgage loan officer in town that you can go to in person and like speak to directly?
So previously I lived in Ketchikan, had a full-time office there, but I also did Prince of Wales, which is a lot of island, and I'd fly over when I could to have meetings of them. But coming in and meeting someone face to face, I feel it's more personable. You understand the customer more, they understand you, and just really setting them up. It's scary, like, to put your life out there on an application, and it's nerve-wracking, and I just want them to know, like, there is hope. There is, like, if it's not today, it's not tomorrow, when is it gonna be, and what they can do to get there, because I believe everybody has a chance. Sometimes you have to change what your wants are to what you need. I personally had to do that and had to work up to what I wanted to have in my future. But having that face to come in and sit down, and if you don't want to pull your credit, that's totally fine. But I want to get you the knowledge to get to where you want. There's great resources. Alaska Housing has a Finally Home program that you can go online. It takes about an hour, but it gets you all the information from private mortgage insurance to and home inspections, and once you complete the certification, you get a $250 credit, and you email that over to me. It sits in your file that I have for 2 years, and so when you are ready to take that step, it gets you a discount on your closing costs, and also gives you a bounty full of knowledge that maybe I missed or you just didn't think of at the interview process. But I want you to feel comfortable. It's fine to come into a bank and talk to us. There is no judgment. Like, I want to hear, like, today you come in and you want a single family, tomorrow or next week you come in for a duplex and you're all over. I want to help you figure out that thing, that your plan. Like, it changes, and sometimes you just need someone to bounce your ideas off, and I want to be that person.
And it can be overwhelming coming to talk to a loan officer, because you're looking at what are your assets and liabilities and trying to quantify all that and getting the paperwork and checking your online statements. Where are you? With your retirement and savings and
what not to do when we're about to close. Don't go buy a new car. Don't pull out a bunch on your credit card. Just things. I just set you up for the roadmap, and then the importance of having a realtor. There's been for sale by owners or word of mouth or everything. I highly recommend talking to a realtor too. Get that word out there. They are going to be the ones keeping their ear low to the ground and seeing what's going to be popping up. How to protect you and your earnest money. That's huge. Your home inspections. If the home inspection comes back and it's kind of cloudy on an issue and you need to know who's going to resolve it, they're going to be your team. They're gonna back you up and see how you're gonna get that repair done. And they know the market. I can't say enough about that.
Are there any preparations or things that people should just know before they come to you?
Let's see. Well, I like to have an idea of your income. Sometimes, so if you have pay stubs available, that's totally fine. If not, I could set you all up. Usually takes about an hour process of your time to sit down and talk to me. We could do it over email or over phone, but I prefer in person. I think it's great. I think it's more personable, and like if you have questions, I'm there just to ask for anything. And if you decide to go do construction, we got Sarah Allison that can also help. First Bank's doing a great promotion. You do a construction loan with us, we give you $1,000 off your appraisal when you move over to a mortgage.
Lauren, you have any more of your 1,000 questions you want to ask?
Sure. So I guess you kind of implied that people are still looking for that 3-bed, 2-bath home. And if the average price is $400, but they can only afford $250, what's the solution?
The solution is they might just have to wait. There's a couple, so it depends on, I guess, what program they can go into. Because I know that the Community Land Trust, they work with First Bank too in trying to get these homes built for people. I know USDA has a great program too, where it's little down to get into a home, and I think their interest rates are also really good, but it really depends on home value versus the interest rate, how much you can afford. So the lower the interest rate, I mean, usually the more you can afford, and that's where if they can only afford a little bit, maybe time is just not right now. And that makes it hard because I know a lot of people want to own versus rent.
Keith, to touch on the rental thing again really quick.
Yes.
What are you seeing from the property management side? What are rents at now? You know, I mean, we hear a lot, we see a lot about, rental rates going up, and I'm just curious what the rent looks like in comparison to something like a mortgage payment at this point.
So right now I think the 1-bedroom, 1-bath, like the lowest that I have, my rents are at about $1,000 a month, and that doesn't include furnishings or utilities. But then if I have, I also have a studio that includes furnishings and utilities for $1,400. One of the, trying to think of, I have a home that's a 3-bedroom, I think 2-bath for $2,400, and it also has a garage, which is nice. So it can vary, and I try to set it up with the owners on how much they need to make and how much they can afford, and make it as reasonable as possible for people to rent, so it doesn't feel like it's a mortgage payment. Because I've heard that too with people who are looking to rent. It's like, that's a mortgage payment. I'm like, I know, and I'm sorry, this is what the owner wants. But I also try to reason with the owners of well, people can't pay this, or they don't want to. This is what they're saying. And so sometimes the owners are willing to go a little bit lower to make sure that they get rent. But it's, I guess that's kind of what I'm saying, what I manage as well, is it's kind of, I think if I've looked at it lately, I manage like 60 plus doors, and I don't say properties, or doors that I manage. So it could be a 4-plex, it could be a triplex, different things, a house with an apartment. But it's kind of all across the board of what I'm renting, and I try to make it as reasonable as possible, because I don't want to price people out, and I try to make it work for everybody, the owner, me, and the renter.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Some of the buyers that are coming in it's just a ballpark percentage, how many of them are cash buyers, meaning they don't have to go out and get loans? They're just coming in, they're outside money more than likely coming in town.
For me personally, I can't remember ever dealing with a cash buyer. I've heard of them. I've heard of it happening, but it's never happened with one of my clients. So I guess to give you maybe an average of what I'm hearing, maybe like 1 in 20, maybe, are cash buyers. And some of those cash buyers I hear are from Sitka that are looking to expand their business or to expand their property, their own properties and their own wealth, I guess you could say. But that's kind of what I'm seeing. I haven't seen one personally, but 1 out of 20 is my guess. Any other questions for us? Hopefully we've answered your questions, but like we've said, there's a lot of volatility, a lot of just variations in what we're seeing all across the board, from what people are looking for, how much they can afford, and what's available.
Myself, I've noticed that there is quite a few places that need to be removed.
Like torn down?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do you have any idea what's going on with that? I know of at least 2 places that I've seen daily, and I've seen places that are not have anyone in them for a year or more.
Is there assistance with the city or anything like that?
That's a good question. I think it's hard because you're dealing with a property and an owner of that property, and whether or not the city can actually condemn that property. And then after even they condemn it, what can the city do to force that owner to get rid of the condemned property? It's hard. It's really hard.
Now, I can add in that. So there was a Senate bill, Bill 77, House Bill 84 last year, I believe. Maybe it was 2 years ago, but it came out of Anchorage, and what they were trying to do was allow municipalities to implement different tax rates. So if there was a blighted property that nobody was dealing with, well, now your millage rate is 50. And so they were trying to figure out a way to do that. It didn't get through committees, and there was a lot of discussion of whether it was legal or not. But I know there's been multiple different ways that people are trying to look at that.
Oh, and you got the managers of the property not managing it locally too, so that becomes a problem.
It makes it harder too, yeah. When you have multiple interests in that property, it makes it really hard. Yeah.
But the same thing, that bill also included, whereas the city and borough could come in and say that if you wanted to build a housing unit that's going to support workforce development housing, that they could drop the millage rate down to 2 or 0 to incentivize certain types of housing to be built.
Now, Gary, can the city do that now? Because I
think they can.
Okay.
I'm not positive though. The sponsor of that bill called me and we had a discussion about what was going on.
All right, I might want to talk to you more about that later because I have some ideas too about. Part of the, I guess you could say the issue too is, from what I understand, is the city can only implement one tax rate for the properties. And is that fair for everybody? Probably not. I mean, down south there's an agricultural rate, which is a lot lower than a residential property tax rate, and then commercial versus even second homes. And one idea too is to tax those who have second homes here more than the rest of us who live here, which could be additional money. But I mean, that's doesn't help the supply and demand necessarily right now.
Keith, the renters that you manage, are you finding a lot of, say, single individuals, pooling together, non-related in any way, but maybe renting a 3-bedroom, or even 4 renting a 3-bedroom? Are you seeing that type of crowding in the rental area?
I am seeing it, but not a lot. I mean, out of the ones that I manage, I probably have like 5 that are pooled together with like friends. who want to, you know, rent a place together, but I haven't seen necessarily strangers pool together to try to rent a place, but I don't see that very often. It's either a single person who wants a place, or usually like a family here that want a place.
So it's more of a friend reason and not an affordability.
Yeah.
Affordability.
Yeah. Well, it's probably both though. I mean, it's really affordability and friends getting together. Like, hey, let's get a place that's nicer than I can get by myself. So the price overall between, let's say, 2 to 3 of them is significantly reduced.
If somebody comes to you and asks for, wants to buy a house and they're told not yet, but wait, what are the top 2 or 3 things that a new home buyer should do or would be asked to do to get from not yet to now? Now's the time.
Well, it really depends, but usually it's building up that credit history. Sometimes they come and they just started a secured loan or a credit card and just started building, so they only have like 1 score noted and the other 2 are still not there, and they just don't have enough time building up. There's a lot of knowledge out there, like there's a couple credit building options where you can even include your rent to just start building credit, to document it with Experian, I believe it is with. But that's the number 1 I see is your credit's just not there yet, or you have a couple things to clean up on your credit that I would like to see, just to build that stronger case for you. Another thing is income. Maybe they were a W-2 wage earner, and out of left field, they started their own business and they don't have 2 years of taxes. Sometimes I can work around that when they've been in the same type of work history. They were a plumber and for 20 years, and then they just started their own plumbing business. Sometimes we can work around that. But when you were a cab driver and you just started your new business, rental management or something like that, that's something I'm gonna need 2 years of normally. Sometimes they go out and get a W-2 wage earner job and make that work, and they come back within 6 months and say, Sky, I figured to just do this in the meantime. Okay. Those are my 2 big things. And I give them a good pamphlet, a good list. I've typed down everything of what to look for, and then give them a goal. So if they want this price market, I'm going to tell them, well, this is the income that I want you to be at. Pay down some loans. That's another thing. Your DTI is too high. You want this $450, but you got a car payment of $900 a month. Let's pay that down and refinance it or something like that. Let's get that down, get you more comfortable. Because they come in and they don't think about things like homeowners insurance, property taxes. They're not doing 20% down. There's private mortgage insurance, and that changes things. So those are just the ideal situations that I deal with.
We have an online question.
This is last question.
Okay.
Public nurse here. Have you heard of any plans for affordable housing using the McDonald's building?
No. Bottom line, no. From what I've heard in the rumor mill, it's like I think they want it to be used for something like McDonald's, and so I don't really think they're going to be using that for any type of housing. To be honest, it'll stay commercial.
Is McDonald's going back in?
I doubt it. Since corporate was the ones that pulled them out, I doubt they're going to be the ones going back in. Personally, I was like, I would love to see like a KFC Taco Bell go in there. That would be amazing.
Oh man, Chatters was all about thinking about what would go there.
If we could just make that happen.
Well, thank you guys. I mean, we're a small community. If you guys have any other questions, sounds like these 2 are very reachable and want to answer our questions and get people on the path to homeownership. So
yeah,
thank you guys for joining us, and
Thank you for having us.
so just to remind everybody of our upcoming events, because we never want to forget about those. We have our Share Your Spark holiday Christmas lights map. Please, if you have any lights at all, a string, please send them in. It'd be great. I love looking at Christmas lights and I like to know where to go, so please do that for me.
You'll win prizes.
You'll win prizes. I mean,
You might win prizes.
Yeah, you might. But lots of people, please.
But if you don't enter, you won't.
Exactly.
Right.
You gotta be on the map to win the prize. Chamber members, business after hours next week on Tuesday, 6 to 8 at First Bank. Please be there. These are fun. We want to keep having these.
Fun.
We're only gonna have them if people show up. We're getting back to our events. Let's do it. Everybody wanted these.
Yes.
And then Emerging Leaders Holiday Party, December 14th, 5 to 7. More information to come. Please encourage anybody you work with or know. It's open to chamber members, non-chamber members. Please come. The goal is to have a solid group of young professionals in Sitka who have their community and can rely on each other and learn and grow. So it's a great organization and a great thing the chamber has put together. Please encourage anybody you know in the 21 to 40 age range to show up. It takes 2 hours out of an evening. We usually have fun, usually somewhere where there might be adult beverages. It's a good time for everybody and we learn a lot. With that, I will give you back to your Wednesday. Thank you all for coming. We do have another luncheon next week, same place, same time, same day of the week.
The final one in the series.
Yep. And then we're on to holidays, and then we start our spring series at some point in time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.